What's going on, everybody? I'm Commander RestlessCorpse. Welcome back to Elite Dangerous. And as you can see, I'm staring right at yet another Earth-like. Now, this is pretty cool because, unfortunately, the journey that I have plotted is something like 35 jumps or something like that, which obviously we will not get to by the end of this video, but I had to have some kind of a frame of reference, so I picked the closest big star to where I was. And it was something like 37 jumps, something like that. And I've done a couple, but I found this Earth-like here, and there's also a water world in the system, which we're going to go to. So let's swing over there right now and check it out. So on second thought, I think this is an ammonia world, not a water world. But to be honest, I sat in front of that Earth-like for a really long time, scouring Reddit for today's post to find anything interesting, and everybody's letting me down. There's nothing going on in the bubble back in the bubble, and I don't know. It just leaves me to fend for myself when it comes to something to talk about. So I decided to tell you guys a story about the early days with my band. Now, I don't know if I've talked about this, but I do play bass for an industrial band called Am.Psych. We are on the Wax Trax 2 label based out of Chicago. But I've been in this band for, I think since like 2003 or something like that. It's been a really long time. It's actually why I moved to Milwaukee in the first place. But we used to get in all kinds of crazy shenanigans, and we actually kind of became known. The name of the band is Am.Psych, but we became known as Am Drunk in Chicago because of all the crazy shit that we used to get up to. But the story that I'm going to tell you about today, depending on how long it goes, maybe I'll tell you a different one. But the story I'm going to tell you about today is actually not necessarily, it's not like related to any kind of performance or anything like that. It's just something that I thought was really funny, and we still talk about to this day. And the singer, who's my best friend, still gets all upset every time we talk about it. But so we used to have this guy that lived in Germany that was in the band in regards to like mastering and recording and like helping write songs and stuff like that. And his name was Andreas. He was a super awesome guy. We met him way before we ever started the band. And it just turned out that he liked the same kind of music that we liked. So, you know, we had him jump on board with us, and we'd send him like tracks or parts of a track, and he'd give us his input and send the stuff back. And it was really cool. But what we used to do, because this was, back in 03, 04, something like that, we used to use like an FTP service to send parts of songs or full songs or, just things that we wanted each other to take a look at, and we would upload them, and then they would download the parts, and then we all had the same software and stuff that we use to make all the music, because it's an industrial band, so it's mostly electronic. And so my now roommate, who used to be in the band but is not in the band anymore, he left for personal reasons, but we shared an apartment back then, and we used to play, like, that's who I played my first MMO, Star Wars Galaxies, with, and stuff like that. And it was so the singer at the time worked first shift at a 24-hour diner. He was a cook, so he'd have to get up at like 5 in the morning to get ready for work, to go into work at 6. And I remember Frankie, the guy that I was roommates with, was really into like gabber music. So we were just joking around one time in our like music software, and we were jokingly, like, we made the hypothesis that you could throw anything together as long as it had a quick 4/4 beat and like really high beats per minute, and turn into a decent gabber song. So we were going through, we were using Sony Acid at the time. We were making all kinds of different, parts of each music, and like we're naming them ridiculous stuff like hardcore drums and more hardcore drums and harder than hardcore drums and harder than the hardest core drums. And we were just throwing them all together. And we literally, like with that program, there was like a pencil tool, and you could, draw in the parts. So like, let's say you had a wave file of a kick snare drum. You could draw it in to like, just create the kick snare drum line for that. So what we did was with each part, we would just hold down the mouse button and just scribble all over the place. And we were joking that we could make this into like a gabber song. And for those of you that don't know about gabber, it's kind of I guess a subgenre of quote unquote techno, where it's just like really fast beats per minute and whatever. So we made this like 3 or 4 minute long song of just random shit, and there were like 20 different tracks of different like kicks and snares and synths and stuff like that. And we told the singer John, we told him that we together wrote a new song. And he was like, oh man, that's really cool, like I want to hear it. And we're like, okay, well, we'll send you all the pieces and then you can reassemble them in Acid and listen to it and tell us what you think. And he was like, yeah, man. And he was all super excited because at that point he had written most of the stuff. And so we made him stay up until like 4 a.m. because we had to upload all the parts to the FTP server, and then he had to download them all. We made him stay up till like 3 or 4 in the morning, something like that, when he had to be up at 5. And we were just, laughing, giggling to ourselves or, with each other or whatever. And we thought it was the most hilarious thing in the world. So when he finally assembled all these parts and he listened to it, obviously it didn't make any sense, because all we did was we just scribbled all over the program in these various tracks to put snares here and kick bass drums here and hi-hats and whatnot, just all over the place. And the song didn't make any sense at all. It was just a random assortment of beats and synths, and it sounded terrible, and it was ridiculously stupid. And he was so pissed. He was so incredibly pissed because he was only going to get like 1 to 2 hours of sleep or something like that because of this. And I guess to spite us, he because Andreas was kind of like the most serious member of the band. He joked around and stuff, but he was like, when it came to music, he was super serial, right? So to spite us, he said that he was going to send this to Andreas. And I guess he thought that was going to make us like feel shame or shamed, or whatever, like, telling your parent on you or something. So he the next day he sends this to Andreas, and we don't hear from Andreas for like a day or two. And then he sends me a message, and he says, wow, this is pretty damn good. Like, people over here in Germany will eat this stuff up. And me and Frankie were like, what? Are you serious? Like, yeah, why don't we name this song and I'll like spread it around to all my friends and we'll see what we can come up with. And we're like, oh, all right. So we ended up naming the song like Kawasaki Head Kick or something stupid like that. And to this day, I actually don't know if Andreas was just trolling us or not, but we never heard from it again. But we always bring this up when we talk about like the old days of the band. And it always just I don't know, it awakens something inside John that he it just makes him mad, and it makes us laugh like crazy. But we used to do stuff like that. We used to fuck with John a lot, Frankie and I. And I don't know, man, it was good times. Good times. All right, guys, check it out. I got this water world here, and there is also something pretty awesome down here. We have found another Earth-like. So because it is about 5,300 light seconds away, I figure I'm going to regale you all with another crazy band story, because I'm going to be honest. Remember I said this journey was like 37 or so jumps. We're down to 17, and literally the system that I started with in the beginning to this system has been nothing but uneventful, boring crap. So, I actually might make it to the end of this by the end of the video, depending on how long the story is. But I'm gonna, since I did mention the fact that in Chicago we were known as Am.Drunk rather than Am.Psych, I figure I should probably get into why that is. Now, we used to play a lot of shows in Chicago because our record label is based in Chicago, and this was back in 09 or so. And back then we used to drink a lot. Like, that was kind of our thing, John and I on stage. Independent of the other people in the band, John and I would get ridiculously drunk, and we would drink on stage. Sometimes I'd play my bass with a little bottle of High Life, stuff like that. It was crazy. We'd have people bring us shots during the performances, or beers or whatever. It was really good time. But in 09, we were playing in a place called the Dark Room, and we were playing with several of the bands. It was kind of like a festival for the record label, and this was the night that we were told that they were going to sign us. So we had like a really big party. We used to have a band shot called the Mr. T, which was black Sambuca and Goldschlager, but a lot of places only have white Sambuca, and if it's white Sambuca instead of black, we called it a Michael Jackson. But the Mr. T tastes better, so what we did was we brought a bottle of black Sambuca with us, and we also brought some Spotted Cow, which is a really delicious craft beer made out of New Glarus, Wisconsin. We brought that with us down to Chicago because the bartender there, we had played shows there many times, and the bartender had never had Spotted Cow, and we talked about Spotted Cow all the time, so we brought him a six-pack. So what they did was they gave us our shots for half price, on top of the already discount that we were getting because, we were playing a show there. So during the course of the night, like, independent of all the beers that we were drinking, we were also doing like a ridiculous amount of shots. Now remember, we were getting these for half price, not to mention all of the shots that people were buying us. I alone went through, like, I'm not saying that I did all these shots, but like every time I bought a round, obviously it was a round, but I alone went through $150 in half price shots. Now this is not even counting all the other shots that people were buying and stuff like that. We were absolutely wrecked by the end of the night because we were having a big party because we were getting signed to this record label. And I remember just, we, like I said, we were there with a bunch of other bands, and we had like this really big booth that we were all sitting at, and it was just like a revolving door of people from the other bands and fans and stuff like that sitting down to hang out and do shots with us and drink and just, generally have a good time. And we drank a ridiculous amount. So John and I, being the biggest drinkers in the band, we're getting to the point where we were like, okay, we need to stop because we're ridiculous drunk, and neither of us were driving home, but we did have to go. We did have to drive back to Milwaukee that night. So we decided that we were going to be done drinking, but the singer of a band called Ice and Tilla, who was one of the bands that we were playing with, named Brittany, like, she wanted to buy us a round of shots, and she was like, oh, come on guys, just one more. And we were like, oh, I don't know, but she convinced us to do this last round of shots, and they were just, shots of Jameson or whatever. And that is, like, literally as soon as I did the shot, that was the last thing I remember. I remember blacking out. So I blacked out in Chicago, and I woke up the next morning in my bed in Milwaukee. So that's kind of lucky, I guess. What am I? Oh, yeah, I should probably. That's very lucky. But John also pretty much said the same thing. Like, that was the last thing that he remembered. He blacked out, woke up in his bed, and in Milwaukee. So for like every show that we did in Chicago after that, they, you know, people always talked about it, and they gave us the moniker of Am Drunk, and we kind of embraced it. Like, one of our things in this band for a really long time was the whole, like, John and I's I guess relationship on stage, like the way we acted towards each other. We're always pranking each other on stage, you know, just getting into weird like photo ops. We have a crazy photo, and I don't think I have it anymore, but where like while somebody was setting up on stage, like another band or us or somebody, we, like, in the same vein as, like, say YMCA, where you use your arms to, like, make letters or whatever, we made a cock and balls. There's a pretty epic photo that we used to use, because John and I were the ones that started the Virtual Bromance channel. I know I've talked about that before. That was my first YouTube channel that didn't really go anywhere, but it was all based on like co-op games and stuff like that, and just having a good time. And we have a pretty, like, I guess it's an iconic Am.Psych photo of me on stage at a festival, another festival in Chicago, at the Abbey, for the WT2 record stuff, in which we played with Stromkern, which was really awesome, and a whole bunch of other bands. I was on stage, obviously, you know, playing bass, and he was like standing next to me with the mic stand kind of held out like a bass, and we were both like laughing about it. It's a pretty cool picture. I wish I still had it. I know it's probably somewhere. If I can find it, I'll put it in the video here. But I mean, we just neither of us really drink that much anymore, but I mean, it was good times. And like, I don't know, I've been in the band since 2003, and it's been one of the greatest things that I've done, I guess, with my life. Even though we never got super big, I mean, industrial music's not really all that super popular in America, but that, you know, regardless of that fact, we love the music, so that's what we do. But being in this band has afforded me a lot of cool, like, moments, I guess. We've played with a lot of the bands that we've loved for a really long time, like way before we even started our band. Like, we played with Skinny Puppy and ChemLab and Stromkern and, you know, Project 44, which necessarily isn't one of the big bands that I love, but it, you know, has, I guess, the bassist from Thrill Kill Cult is in that band, which is pretty cool. We played with Bile, which actually is another really good story, and it has to do with drunkenness. We were playing in a venue here in Milwaukee called The Nooks, and during our sound check, we weren't necessarily drunk, so I guess it's not a drunken story, but during our sound check, which if you're not, you know, if you don't know how bands work or performances work, you know, before the place opens, every band sets up and you play a little bit, and we get like sound levels correct and stuff like that. Especially for electronic bands, it's very important to get like levels of the software and stuff all set up through the PA system and whatnot. During our sound check, we rocked that place so hard that their amplifiers actually caught on fire. And I don't know how the hell that happened, but after the performance, they asked us never to come back, which is cool. And I believe that was the Bile show, but that's completely fine because we didn't like the venue. But anyway, I'm going to go ahead and, you know, kind of quit jawing on about old band stories, because I guess we're going on about 20 minutes. And once again, this journey, this particular leg of the journey is just very uneventful, other than the 2 Earth likes that I've found. So I think we're up to 10 Earth likes now, which is super cool. But I'm going to leave you guys here, and because we're still 14 jumps away, and I just don't think that we're going to make it before the... Did I already check the system map here? Before the end of this video. So I'm going to go ahead and leave you guys here. I know I've said that like 3 times now. In any case, if you like this video, go ahead and hit that like button. If you want to see more videos of Elite Dangerous or any of the other videos that I've done, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. If you have anything to say, throw it down in the comments. Especially, you know what? I'd like to know what kind of music you guys listen to. I've got some pretty picky tastes, and I'm not gonna make fun of you if you like music that I don't like, but I'm kind of curious. And if you go to my channel page and you look at the related channels, there should be 2 channels on there. One of them is the Digital Psychosis, which is Luke's channel, the guy that I was talking about in yesterday's video. He does a lot of Kerbal Space Program stuff. He's streaming a lot of Stardew Valley lately, and he's been streaming like building his Enterprise model. This guy is actually one of the guys that helped me get my start. He, helped me out with what software to start with, how to get things uploaded on YouTube and stuff like that. And he used to run a Digital Psychosis Live, which was like a gaming podcast. I believe he writes for an Australian video game reviewer site or something like that, Web Wombat, something like that. But he's a really cool guy, and he helped me out a lot. And if you're into like Kerbal Space Program or anything like that, you should really check it out. He does a lot of cool stuff. I actually I challenged him to create the Valkyrie VF1, which is the Macross and Robotech like big robot slash fighter jet transformation thing. I challenged him to make one of those that actually transformed and worked, and he got it into orbit. It was awesome. He used to do a whole lot of stuff where he would just in Kerbal Space Program recreate popular sci-fi spaceships and stuff. That was really cool. I don't think he does that stuff anymore. I think he's all played out on that, but he does do a lot of Kerbal Space Program stuff. So if you like that, check that out. But the other channel on my related channel list is actually the band's YouTube channel, which we don't update a whole lot. I'm actually going to be taking over that channel so that I can get current uploads and better quality uploads and stuff. But what's up there now is all the stuff on our first EP. And if you like industrial music and you're curious about what my band sounds like, go ahead and check that out. And once again, it's on the channel page, the related channels. I'll probably throw a link in the description too. In any case, I'm Commander RestlessCorpse. Thank you guys for watching. I appreciate each and every one of you, and I'll see you guys in the next video.
Eject. 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 Eject.